The rooftop terrace sat high above the city, the kind of place where deals got sealed over expensive lunches and everyone seemed to know somebody worth knowing. And every single afternoon, one woman sat there completely alone. She wore tailored suits and had the kind of presence that made a room go quiet when she walked in. She ran one of the biggest tech companies in the city. But there was a wheelchair parked under her table, and somehow it worked like an invisible fence. Nobody crossed it. People nodded at her from a distance. Clients praised her in meetings. But when noon rolled around, the seats next to her stayed empty, every single day. Then one ordinary Tuesday, a little girl with a peanut butter sandwich sat down anyway. Quick favor before we get into it, if stories like this one mean something to you, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe. It helps more than you'd think. Okay, here's the story. Every weekday, right at 12:30, Eleanor Voss wheeled herself out to the rooftop terrace of Voss Technologies. Same order, grilled chicken salad. Same spot, next to a planter of lavender that somebody watered religiously. Same view of the city doing its thing below her. From far away, she looked like a woman who had it all. She'd taken the company from a two-room office to something worth hundreds of millions. Business magazines called her the steel visionary. Investors trusted her instincts. Younger founders name-dropped her in interviews like she was some kind of proof that it could be done. None of those profiles mentioned the quiet that followed her around at lunch. Years back, a car accident on the interstate had taken her legs and the men she was supposed to marry, both in the same afternoon. What came after wasn't just surgery and physical therapy, it was learning to run board meetings while people wondered, out loud or not, whether she could still cut it. It was smiling through the kind of "you're so strong" comments that make your skin crawl a little. She'd fought like hell to get back to who she was. But success doesn't fix loneliness. It just gives it better lighting. Somewhere in all of it, people stopped seeing Eleanor. They just saw the CEO in the wheelchair. Her employees respected her, maybe too much. Respect turned into distance. Nobody wanted to be the one who said the wrong thing, so nobody said anything at all. They'd walk past her table with their trays, smile politely, and sit somewhere else. She always told herself she liked the quiet. She didn't, not really. She just didn't know how to fix it. One Tuesday, there was construction happening on the building next door. An electrician named Marcus Bellamy was rewiring a floor with his crew. School was closed that day, so his 8-year-old daughter, Dahlia, everyone called her Danny, tagged along. She spent the morning drawing pigeons on the back of a work order form. When lunch came, Marcus pulled out 2 sandwiches from a paper bag he'd used probably 100 times already. Money had been tight since his wife passed 2 years earlier, cancer, the kind that eats through savings as fast as it eats through time. He skipped lunch more often than he'd admit so Danny could have a decent dinner. He never made a thing of it. He figured dignity had nothing to do with what was in your wallet. They were looking for a spot to sit when Danny spotted the woman by the lavender, sitting completely by herself while every other table was packed. Kids notice things adults have trained themselves not to. Before Marcus could stop her, she walked right over. He hurried after her, already halfway through an apology. When Danny beat him to it, she asked if they could sit there because the flowers looked prettier from that side. Eleanor didn't know what to say. No awkward pause. No pitying look. Just a kid asking to share a table because of the flowers. She said yes before she'd even really decided to. That lunch ran maybe 30 minutes. It beat every business dinner she'd sat through in the last 5 years. Danny talked about wanting to be a wildlife photographer someday. She narrated a whole backstory for the pigeons landing on the roof across the street. Marcus mostly laughed and apologized for his daughter's imagination, which needed zero apologizing for. And Eleanor laughed too, not the polished laugh she used in meetings, but a real one. She couldn't remember the last time that had happened. Marcus figured that was it, a nice one-off. Then Danny asked to eat there again the next day. And the day after that. Somehow it just became a thing they did. Over the following weeks, the small talk turned into something realer. Marcus admitted how much single parenting wore him down, the bills, the homework help, being both parents at once and never quite feeling like enough of either. Eleanor admitted that she came home most nights to a huge, silent apartment where even the applause from her last shareholder meeting couldn't drown out how empty it felt. Neither one tried to fix the other. They just listened. Turns out that's most of what people actually need. People at the office started noticing the shift. She smiled more. Meetings felt less like interrogations. She started asking people about their kids, remembering birthdays, and pushed through a company-wide mental health program that actually got used. One afternoon she caught Marcus working on a wiring panel a few floors down. His tools were old, his uniform faded at the cuffs, but the work itself was meticulous. She asked around and found out he'd turned down 2 promotions already, both because the new roles meant more travel and less time with Danny. A week later, Voss Technologies posted a new position, Facilities Operations Manager, built around expanding company properties. Better pay, close to double what he was making, and hours that let him still make it to pick up most days. When HR called Marcus in, he genuinely thought they had the wrong guy. They didn't. Eleanor had simply noticed him before anyone else bothered to. The real surprise came months later, at the company's annual gathering. Eleanor got up on stage in front of a packed room, and instead of talking numbers or growth targets, she talked about being lonely. She told them straight out, she'd built everything she'd ever wanted and somehow forgotten what it felt like to just have a friend. She said real success was building a place where nobody feels invisible, whatever chair they're sitting in. Then she called Marcus and Danny up onto the stage. The room stood up clapping, and it wasn't really about the promotion. It was because everyone in that room finally understood what all those lunches had actually been about. A kid crossed a line the adults had all silently agreed not to. A dad treated a stranger like a person instead of a title. And together, without meaning to, they taught an entire company something it badly needed to learn. The company started mentorship programs after that, and hiring initiatives, and an emergency fund for employees going through hard times. A couple other companies in the city picked up the idea too. One lunch turned into a lot more than anybody expected. These days, the rooftop garden still has the lavender, and the pigeons still show up looking for scraps. But the real difference is the table. That chair next to Eleanor doesn't sit empty anymore. Some days it's an employee. Some days an intern with career questions. Some days a client who forgot they came there to talk business. And every Friday, without fail, Marcus and Danny show up with homemade sandwiches, same as always. No restaurant in the city could replace those afternoons. Because the biggest moments rarely come wrapped up nice, usually they're just someone deciding to sit down next to the person everyone else walked past. If this one got you, go ahead and like the video, send it to someone who needs a reminder that people are still kind, and subscribe for more. And before you go, tell us in the comments about a small act of kindness that changed something for you. Somebody scrolling through today might really need to read it.